I am speaking with,
Jim Berkowitz with CRM Mastery.
and also,
Eric Pozil with CRM Northwest.
you just gave a presentation on how to choose a CRM vendor, and you talked about, well, requirements, evaluation, making the decision. But one of the things that you brought up, Jim, that I thought was interesting is don't look at specifically their capabilities, but how they do what they say they do. Explain.
Well, the CRM marketplace is fairly mature, so a lot of the vendors will offer the same type of functionality, but depending upon the size of the company, you'll find that they accomplish the same tasks in very different ways. And so it's very...
Can you give me examples of that?
Probably the number one example would be in the customer service area, where when you look at the customer service process for larger companies, it involves many more people and could involve many more screens and data elements that a smaller company would be happy about using. So you need to pick a package that fits the size of your organization.
And have you seen this? Because I know you were talking about narrowing that list of vendors. Is this one of the things that you look at in the criteria in narrowing it down?
You mean in terms of selecting a vendor, or?
Well, actually, I just realized you can't actually see this until actually you select the vendor. So actually, let me ask the question again and say, you were talking about selecting vendors, going from the long list down to the short list. How do you actually weed that list down?
Well, that process is a couple of steps are involved with that. So one is usually there's existing relationships with a vendor, which for medium-sized or large companies is often the case. So that'd be number one. The second would be really around which one meets your general requirements that you've gone through your discovery process or RFP. And sometimes there's vendors that just get kicked out because they just don't meet your requirements and they've got some big misses. And it could be from a functional or feature level, it could be a business issue like an industry, or just could be they just don't do something that you really need and it's something that you can't deal with. Or it could be a cloud versus on-premise delivery mechanism where maybe you want the option and you've got a cloud only vendor and they won't be able to handle your on-premise needs. So those are a couple of things that might come up.
For someone who's never actually used CRM before, and you talked about, Jim, about evaluating, and I want both of you to answer this, how would I go about evaluating what I need if I don't even know what CRM can do?
So you're a first-time buyer. Then what you need to do is look within the departments that you're going to automate, sales, let's say, or customer service, and you need to evaluate not what you need, because you don't know what you need, but you need to evaluate the processes and what's working for you now and what's not working for you now in terms of the way you're doing business, and then look for technology that will help you fix those things.
For a first-time buyer, what are the things I need to be looking at?
Well, there's a lot of free information out there. So the vendors' websites are actually quite good. There's a lot of YouTube videos and other things where you can get a really good demo. Obviously, you can do a trial, but if you do a trial, you open the kimono where they're going to start calling you and emailing you and more frequent communication than you may otherwise want.
So is this a call from a CRM vendor the worst thing in the world?
It can be for some. I will say the flip side is if you're really ready to look and you want to have an interaction, most vendors are going to call you quickly. So instead of waiting a week or when it's not top of mind, they'll call you right away when you're actually looking at their system. Maybe you're in the trial, and so your thoughts are on the CRM system. So it depends. But it's a two-way street. They can overwhelm you with communication too.